Okay, let's see if this works a little better. I don't know if it might be still freezing off. I don't know. It looks like it is, doesn't it? No, this got to be old because that says so. That was an old one.
Well, we'll find out in a minute. I need to finish this because I gotta go back and
Go.
put on.
Does it look like it's freezing?
I don't know.
No, I think this might be better. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think this is better. I closed some of my windows and I restarted. So hopefully this will not freeze and it'll do a little better. So anyway, we were talking about provisions, and we were about done with that subject anyway. But I think again, it's just important to kind of stress that people need to really think about what it means for them to have provisions in their marriage and what provision means to them and what providing means to them. And both partners need to think about this because you can't have you can't be on different pages when it comes to providing. That's one that's really important. You just cannot be on those different pages because your wife may be thinking that you're supposed to be providing one thing, you're thinking that you're supposed to be providing something else, and if you're both on different pages, that can cause a lot of stress and emotional issues and arguments and everything else in your marriage.
I agree with that.
So, all right. So, anyway, the other thing we were talking about today, well, you said you want to talk about cheating. He wants to talk
Yeah,
about
I
infidelity again because you keep running
yeah,
into it.
because it's crazy. Like the whole thing about this, right? It's weird. So I got this little nighttime job, right? And again, yeah, I'm 40. How old am I? 46. I'll be 47 in February, and I've done a little bit of everything that's possible when it comes to cheating and I'm not bragging about it. Actually, it's kind of disappointing and I'm ashamed of it. But I'm saying that to preference what I'm getting ready to say. So my mindset has changed on it. Number one, right? But make a long story short, so I was at work a couple days ago, and this younger guy, he's 30, he came over to me and he was like, "Hey man, I can't do this in the morning because I got caught cheating last night. Uh, my girl told me this is crazy. My girl told me she was going out of town, and this is a real life story from what this guy. And she ended up popping up at the house early, coming back home early, and she caught me with another girl. So she came out here and flattened my tires. So I got to try to figure out how to get my car together in the morning, yada yada yada. And I said, what? I said, bro, I said, you brought another girl into your house? And I was like, man, cheating is bad enough, but don't be number one is disrespectful 100% anyway, but to try to get to his level, I was like, but don't be so disrespectful to bring somebody in your house. At least go to a hotel or something. If you're going to disrespect have any type of respect. And he was like, nah, man. So, she lied to me and told me she was going out of town. So, so when she came home, for her to come home, I'm wondering what she doing. Is she cheating? And I'm like, what? I'm like, yo, what? Like, so I just laughed, right? I was like, bro, whatever. So then he came again last night, and he was like, man, I know I got caught this, that, and the third, but I got a good girl, and blase this and blase that. And so for him to come to me the second time, he also said, man, N-word, ninjas gonna be ninjas. And I said, no, bro. I said, I didn't say nothing the other night, but I'm gonna say this to you. First and foremost, I couldn't never. I've done everything in those realms except bring anybody into my home. I'd never do that. Would have never done that anyway. I said, but I've cheated and I've done all of these things you're talking about. I'm sorry. Let me say this. I said, let me ask you a question. I said, he was talking about how hurt he was, right? He's like, man, it's really bothering. I said, are you hurt because you got caught, or are you hurt because you actually cheated? And he said, because I got caught. And I started laughing. I said, bro, I said, it ain't gonna work like that anyway. I said, let me tell you something. There's no way I could go leave this place and go sleep with another woman and walk in the house and lay in the bed with my wife. I can't do that. Like, I couldn't look at her and do that. So if you only hurt because you got caught, you will do it again. And that's part of the thing. I also told him this. I did my little preaching. Also told him that, like, that's part of the part of the situation that perpetuates the situation of how we've done our women wrong as Black women so long, and they shouldn't have to go through all of that hurt before they get love right. And if you're gonna, and I told him that if he's gonna be mad and hurt because he got caught, he's gonna do it again. And I wholeheartedly believe that, because if you're only hurt because you got caught, that means once you think things have gotten smoothened out, you're going to do it again and just try to cover your tracks better. Mm-hmm. So next time, what he probably won't do, oh, well, I ain't going to bring her back in the house. And he going to think that rectifies the situation. So what I want to talk about in that is cheating is a mindset. What I've learned is and realized is to cheat, let's think about the things that has to happen. One, if I go to a bar and I sit down and I'm drinking and a woman comes sit down beside me, some type of way, a conversation has to occur, right? Now, depending on the conversation, it goes from, okay, well, look, let me buy you your next drink, or I'll pay for that. So by saying that can bring on other conversations. And then from that standpoint, now you exchange phone numbers maybe. Or something. So it's what I'm leading up to is a process to even get to cheating, so that it just happened doesn't just happen. It's a process that you engaged in to get to that. Even if it's a one night stand and you leave the bar, go in the car and do it. You started off from entertaining a conversation by offering to buy somebody a drink. Not saying you're supposed to go to a bar, go somewhere and be mute and don't talk, but you shouldn't engage in inappropriate things. Yeah. If I go to a bar and buy a woman a drink, well, would you be okay with your wife or your husband or whatever it is, your partner buying somebody else a drink? Number one, that's the thought process. I know I'm not going to go nowhere and spend no money that's our money on another woman, because automatically that's a problem anyway. Right. That's a problem. Why am I taking money out of our account and spending it on a woman? So would my wife, and that's the thought process that you should have, would my spouse or my partner be okay with that? Like I'm saying, it's a process with that. So with that guy and people that think like that, some kind of way, it has to be God. God has to lead you to want to change, like he did me. I wanted to change. And I don't know how you stop that cycle, because the thing with men are going to be men is the biggest BS that I've heard. Yes, I used to say that. Oh, dudes is going to be dudes and men going to be men. I don't like saying it for real man or nothing like that. But if you a man with values and substance, then cheating is not going to be an option. Just like we had a brief conversation earlier today about the revenge cheating. Mm-hmm. And I was telling her that, if a woman or man decides to be revengeful and just go cheat back, then to me personally, you're devaluing yourself. I can understand why you would do it, but for me, if you do that, then you're going to give yourself to someone else that probably don't deserve you anyway, just to hurt somebody else. If you want to be revengeful, which what the Bible say, revenge is what? It was some of that. Yeah, what is it?
Revenge is God.
Yeah, that's that right there. That's what the Bible say. So if you do want to be revengeful, which you shouldn't, it's other ways to do it versus going out here and trying to sleep with somebody and give yourself to somebody that don't deserve you anyway. Right. But it's just a whole mindset that I don't know how we get our people out of, or how we get that out of the cheating aspect out of people's heads, because it's just not acceptable. Period.
It's not. And the fact that it's been when he's talking about the revenge, we were talking earlier about how someone had posted. She's a content creator. She's
exactly
has a lot of followers on Facebook and different social media, but she was saying like women have been taught that getting revenge on a guy is wrong. And then the more you think about it, even though like he said, like, I don't agree that, you should go out and cheat to get revenge back. But the more you think about it, just that in that realm, women have been taught that revenge is wrong. But to me, that's the same mindset that makes women feel guilty when they are sexually assaulted by a man. And all of a sudden, the woman feels guilty about being sexually assaulted. She feels wrong about the situation. Sometimes they feel to the point where they don't even want to press charges. Sometimes because they feel guilty about it. I had an incident happen to me with a medic, and it was assault. He touched me inappropriately, but I felt bad for him being criminally prosecuted. Why would I feel bad about that? Like, but that's been so ingrained in us that we should feel bad about men suffering the consequences or the repercussions of their actions. And we've just always been taught like that. I don't even know where it started from or can't even imagine where it started from. But it again, it's along that same mindset that tells women, yeah, you should. If a man cheats, just walk away, don't say anything, just blah blah blah. But you're not supposed to speak about it or get revenge about it, or you know, don't go snooping through a man's things, and
that's something
don't try to look in his phone. Like all of those things, whether you agree with them or not, but all of those things to me, now that I think about it, are agendas pushed to make a woman feel guilty about what she may discover about someone else's infidelity. And that's strange and bizarre to me that we could be so socialized to think that we don't even think about that on a constant basis until that lady posted that. Then I was like, yeah, well, dang, you're right. That's why I myself felt bad about doing this. And this guy was totally in the wrong, but I felt bad. I'm like, oh, he has a family. He came to court with his wife. I'm like, oh my God, he has a wife. Blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm feeling all bad. Like I did something. Like I made him touch me inappropriately.
Let me intervene as well. She wasn't with me when that happened, because I would have did bodily harm to him, his wife, his kids, and everything else if she'd have been with me at that point. I just want to, I don't think I'm letting people walk around and touch my wife. That wouldn't happen. I don't play those games. But anyway, good. I just want to let y'all know that wasn't me. I would have protected her.
But I'm just saying, it's just the same mindset that makes women feel guilty about stuff like that. Like, oh, you were snooping through his stuff and you found out he cheated. And the first thing is, why were you going through his stuff anyway? Like, why is that the first thing that someone says to a person? I've been in groups where a woman is saying she caught her spouse cheating, and the first thing that he said out of his mouth or other men on the page said was, well, why were you doing that? You were looking for something. And so I actually commented one time, I'm like, okay, this notion that if you don't see it means it's not happening, it's crazy. Like, who started this? Who started the notion of if you don't look for it, you're not going to find it? Okay, well, just because I didn't look for it doesn't mean that he ain't out there in the bed with somebody else. Mm-hmm. Like that's crazy for people to even be saying that to people and to be pushing that agenda.
Yeah, because back in my day, boy, if you ain't look for something, boy, I'll tell you what. Anyway, the whole point is, no, I'm just playing. But yeah, I don't. That goes into something else I want to talk about too, is privacy. Mm-hmm. Like we talked about that one time before, but
privacy.
Is there privacy in marriages? That's a good question.
Is there privacy?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, because
like, it's privacy when he go poop, because I don't want to be in there when he doing that.
So,
that's privacy.
First of all, I don't poop. I shit. I'm a grown man. Let's get.
But
that
I'm just saying,
way.
like, so I don't. I'm not in the bathroom with him. I mean, so
no, yeah. Sometimes you do. Anyway,
sometimes I do walk in there and be like, "Hey, babe," and I'll be like, "It smells so bad. I gotta leave."
Shut up, freak. But anyway, what I was saying was the privacy aspect. To me, from what I used to do and what I am now, you only have privacy if you cheating. That's the only time you doing something that's teetering disrespect or cheating. Let me say that, because I don't have. What do you need when it comes to phones and things like that? What do you need privacy for? Like your husband or your wife is supposed to be able to pick up your phone or do whatever. So what is the privacy that you speak of then? That's what I want to know. Because I don't care that she picks up my phone. I don't care that she hears who called me. I don't care that she sees what's in my phone. because I have nothing to hide. So Sandra, I asked her, what privacy? What is the privacy if you're married? What type of privacy do you need? That'd be my question from your spouse. What is privacy? Well, you don't want them to see you naked? Like, no, seriously, like what because where's the privacy at? Because like what do you have that that your partner don't need to see?
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's like, I keep stuff private for like Christmas because I don't want her going in my phone and seeing what I bought her. But like, what is it that you supposed to share everything? So I don't know where, if I can't pick up her phone and call somebody on her phone because I left my phone at home or something, and then that means it's a trust issue. So, well, shit, she's an attorney, so even her client files. If I wanted to look at her client files, yet legally it don't supposed to, but like, what the hell am I gonna do with that?
Yeah.
What am I gonna do with that? Like, I'm not gonna just go be like, hey, my wife defended whoever, and this is what's going on in the case. Like, so there's still privacy. So again, your work accounts, right? Your work accounts, and if you got something that's private in your work accounts, and your husband, and I'm saying husband now, I ain't talking about boyfriend or girlfriend, somebody that you're real serious with, or potentially living with your life partner, like, where's the privacy? What are they gonna go look at your work accounts and say what?
Yeah. I was trying to look up the definition, right? What is the real definition of privacy? And it says freedom from unauthorized intrusion, the quality or state of being apart from company or observation.
So here we go with the legal.
The right to be let alone, or freedom from the interference or intrusion. And then one said the state or condition of being free from being observed or disturbed by other people. So
my intellectual level don't go that deep. Sorry.
So I think what happens is that people think
stupid,
privacy. They kind of put privacy and secrecy together, right? So I don't think that there should be any type of secrecy in a marriage. Why would you have secrets from your spouse, right? But if you're defining privacy as the broader sense, or the truest definition, freedom from intrusion or being observed, there may be times, for example, like I said, when he's on a toilet, that he may want his privacy.
No, I don't need no privacy. You smell that.
He nasty. He don't care. But some people, I can see where some people say, okay, if I'm on the toilet, I don't want you in there on the toilet, right? But even that, if they talk about unauthorized intrusion, right? Even that is expected, that sometimes if your spouse like, hey, and knock on the door and come in the bathroom, like, you're not going to just have a fit about it. It's going to be. So when you're talking about privacy in situations such as that, like, okay, we have female things that go on. Okay, I don't necessarily want to be observed when I'm doing that or something,
Are you changing your tampon
or something like that, right? That's privacy.
See, I'm the harsh version. She wants to be.
So that's. But when it gets to the point you're keeping secrets from somebody, now that's wrong. You don't keep secrets from your partner. There's no reason to have secrets from your partner. I mean, like, even if you talk to yourself, you could probably tell your partner, hey, I talk to myself. Because you shouldn't have secrets from your spouse. So being secretive is something that's totally different. And those are the things that kind of ruins relationships, right? I'm not even going to be secretive with my phone because I don't need to be. Like with him, why would I want to keep any type of secrets from him? Now, people say, just like you said,
I'm gonna respond to that. Go ahead.
Says that people like talk to their friends and stuff, and they don't want the friends, the spouse, to know what they said to their friends, and different things like that. And on one hand, okay, yeah, I understand it. On the other hand, my question then is, should you be speaking out loud or to anyone, whether it's other than God, other than God or counselor, should you be speaking to anyone about anything negative, so negative about your partner that they can't hear that, right? Because at the end of the day, you have to think about those situations in which they may be they may hear something by accident. And if they hear that, is it going to destroy your marriage? I had a situation in one of the groups where someone overheard their spouse talking to the date and intentionally try to spy on them or anything like that. He was talking to his friend, but it was like a private conversation. But what he said was that when he saw her, what was it? When he saw her, when he was getting married to her, when he was getting married to his wife, and she was coming down the aisle, he pictured his ex-girlfriend. Now, that really hurt her feelings, the fact that he had said that, right? Now, there's two issues with saying something like that or even venting to your friends and trying to do it in privacy or secrecy and your spouse not knowing it, because people can hear something and misinterpret it. People can read something, a text message to a friend, and misinterpret it. And I don't care how you meant it to be. If it hurts your partner, it hurts your partner. If it's something that you can't turn around and say to your partner, you shouldn't be discussing it at all with anyone. That's just what because it could always get back to him. It could always get back to him. And then I just, out of respect, why would you be saying something about your partner that's not so nice that he can't even hear, but claiming that you respect him? Like, you can't, people don't even respect. If you say, go to your friends and say, well, he doing this and this and that, what type of picture are you painting about your partner to your friends? Because why would you want them to have that picture of him, whether you venting or not? Some people don't understand that. You can be venting and they just completely, that's the image that they have of that person. If you need to vent, get a journal, write in your journal or whatever. But at the end of the day, it still shouldn't be something that's detrimental to your relationship. There's nothing I'm going to say to anybody about him that I'm not going to, that I can't say to him.
Yep.
Like if I tell him like, yeah, I just went and told somebody you did blah 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 blah, that's something I'm gonna be able to tell him too.
That's also I'm gonna respond to her as well, but that's also a good point that you just made, because here's what happens, right? If you go say, or if I call Tyrone and be like, yo man, my wife, yada yada yada, this that and the third, and blah 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 and blah blah blah, and I call him to vent and complain about you, then that same energy that I'm giving to him, I should have had a discussion with you to try to rectify the situation. Because too many times when things like that happens, then your friends begin to take sides. So then once if and when you do get it fixed and rectified, now that person has taken your side on that stance and still stuck there while your life is continuing on and the situation has smoothened out. And then the next time something come up, I go do the same thing. Now they're painting an image of you that they paint an image of your partner that can potentially them start not liking your partner. And if that continues, then they're gonna have a certain ill will towards your partner, but you're still with your partner. So it could potentially cause some type of what is the word I'm looking for? Some type of conflict.
Yeah, discord.
And that's what I was looking for, discord. And then at the end of the day, if it comes to a situation, now you got to choose between your partner and your friend. And so I'm gonna say that. Now going back to the thing that you were saying, and again, I'm not judging you. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. As far as the conversations that you're having with your family and your coworkers and all of that, if you deem that to be a private conversation and you deem that to be a private conversation, I would question what's so important in that conversation that your partner don't need to hear. I mean, I ain't saying that they should just be in the room while you're having a conversation about something that your friend or your coworker or family is talking about, or whatever the case may be, that they should just be sitting there like, oh girl, that's wrong, or they shouldn't be saying that. Yeah, I'm not saying all of that, but if it ain't nothing about your relationship or nothing about that, if they walk in the room, like they just walk in the room, you should be able to continue your conversation.
And that's the that's the difference. It's not like you were saying like, oh, you should, like every time you talking to your family or your friends, they should be right there talking with you.
Yeah, it's definitely like not that. Because there's been times that we've had conversation with friends, and my cousin, for example, he was talking to me in confidence about what's going on in his marriage one time, this, that, and the third. And yeah, I was listening to him and I was giving him my advice. But after I got off the phone, she walked in and walked out. She ain't come in asking me, oh, what's going on, this, that, and the third. And if she did, I would tell her. But I was like, hey, I'm like, man, this is what's going on with my cousin, da 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 da, blah blah. Talking to her, like blah blah blah. Yeah, it was a private conversation between he and I. But at the end of the day, she's my wife. I'm not. If I want to discuss it with her, I'm going to discuss it. And as my partner, she knows that it's a private conversation between he and I. So I'm not expecting her to go back next time I'm on the phone with him and be like, hey, man, did you get that situation fixed and this, that, and the third? But because, it's nothing I have to hide. And if she did ask me, I'll tell her. Like, it ain't because too many times, that's the other thing too, too many times, especially us men, I guess it'd be women too, we'll be having private conversations about things that we shouldn't be talking about, like, oh man, we went to the strip club the other night, and hey man, did you got that girl number? Like, I can't even have a conversation. If I'm as a married man, and I don't do strip clubs, I never did strip clubs like that anyway, but I'm just using it for example. If as a married man, if I went out with one of my friends and we went to a strip club and he got a stripper number, or he didn't have to be a stripper, he could be a club, and he got another woman number, I see that happen, fine, whatever. He could be married, whatever the case is. I'm not, even if he was single, I don't think I would even have the conversation of, oh man, you call that girl, or how did that, maybe if he was single, yeah. But I wouldn't have, if he was married, I'm not having a conversation with him like, hey man, did you call that girl this, because that's wrong in the beginning. So I can't have a private conversation with him about something that's wrong. And I learned that because of her. So it's, I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
It's people also got to remember the concept. If you believe in this, which if you're married under the institution of God, you should. But if you really become one, then at that point, there shouldn't be any secrecies between you two. Again, yes, you expect levels of privacy, and when you have conversations with friends and stuff, like you're not saying, oh, well, they need to be in this conversation with them. But at the same time, it shouldn't be something to the point where, oh, I got to hide this conversation from my friend. I think that's the aspect I'm talking about. Where the difference, when you start, oh, well, I got to go into the other room and talk to him because he came in the room or she came in the room. Let me go talk. That you're one. You're a unit. So anyone who's even confiding in you should understand that as a unit. If you move as a unit, that whatever they say to you is potentially going to go get to your partner. They should understand that, because that's how marriages are supposed to operate. We're not separate people anymore. We're unit. We're combined as one. That's what the whole idea of marriage is. So in that respect, no, there's nothing private enough where it's going to rise to the level of a secret.
and I'll say this. I'll give you another example. Like her ex-husband and her have a great co-parent relationship. And they talk about a vast variety of used to, they don't do it as much, but of things. And I've walked in the room and she was talking to him, spoke to him, and went on, did what I had to do, didn't pay no attention. Sat there. She's been in the room. I played my game. They had their conversation. It had nothing to do with me. But if she would have like walked out the room because she was on the phone with him, then that's going to look very suspicious. Mm-hmm. Like, why is that a private conversation? Why is that something that needs to be private, right? So because our trust is where it's at, I don't care. You talk to them. I go in the other room if I want to watch TV because they too damn loud, or whatever the case may be. Because it never seemed to be anything other than that to me. So if she would have been acting in secrecy with that, trying to have private conversations, because I've done that a couple times when we first started talking. One of my kids' moms will call, and then I'll try to I'll go off in another room to try to have a conversation. And although it wasn't nothing inappropriate, it just looked funny. So that's that's what I'm talking about
Yeah.
potentially is that.
Exactly.
So yeah, but that's pretty much all I have for today.
That's all you had.
Yep.
I think that was all I had too.
We-
Maybe
this is-
I maybe had one more. I don't know. I can't remember. It was something about no, because we talked about the provisions and the privacy. Oh, perspective. That's one thing I want to talk about real quick.
Ain't nothing real quick when it comes to you.
Yes, it is. Perspective. Okay, so the other topic that was interesting to me today was, and we spoke about this a little bit, was Right in the Room, but they were talking about why Kevin Samuels was appealing to men, right? Why he was so appealing to so many men. And he was saying that's because he was speaking to men who don't feel like they're heard, that don't feel like they're seen, that don't feel like blah, 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 blah. And I agree, there are a lot of men who feel like they're not being heard in relationships, they're not being seen in relationships, and all of this stuff. But there's a couple of things that kind of made me think more in depth about this, right? And my thing was like, are they really not being heard or seen, or have they been so socialized and conditioned to be men and to be engrossed in ego and masculinity that they don't like what the responses that they receive from a person, not because a person said it in a disrespectful way, but because they don't like the truth, or because they don't know how to deal emotionally with having emotional conversations, or they don't know how to deal with healthy challenges in relationships because of how they've been socialized. And so that was something that I thought is lacking, right? So it's like recognizing that, yeah, a person can perceive something and that can be their reality, but is the reality grounded in truth, right? Because your perception can be your reality all you want to, but if it's not grounded in truth, it's just not grounded in truth. There's no way around that. I mean, if you can say all you want, I saw a raccoon run across the floor, right? Maybe that's your perception. Maybe you really think you saw it, so to you that's your reality. Doesn't make it so. Doesn't mean that that's what actually happened, right? And so I think that's something that deserves a little bit more attention. We're talking about how men feel with regards to women. Someone also made an interesting point, because a woman, she said, just as humans, in order to be understood, you have to first understand. In order to be seen, you have to first see. In order to be heard, you have to hear. In order to, and she was giving off these things, and I'm like, and I start thinking like, yeah, so I wonder if people that complain about this realize, for example, I only gonna go from my perspective, right, and how I would think that men, but for example, when men are saying this, oh, I don't feel heard, I don't feel seen. Well, have they ever thought about whether or not their partners are feeling heard or seen when they have to ask them 50 million times to do something, or where they feel like they're not getting enough, attention or time from their partner? Maybe your partner doesn't feel like they've been seen. Maybe they don't feel like they've been heard. And maybe that's what's causing the discord. And maybe that's why they don't think that it's important to respond to you in a certain way. It's so many things that could be actually impacting that I think for us to just say like, well, men feel this way, is to really be looking at it on the surface level. And that was my point.
So I've rarely watched Kevin Samuels before he passed or whatever, and the couple times I did see him, his delivery was too off for me to try to engulf myself into even trying to see his point.
Mm-hmm.
However, with listening to what you said, my only response to that would be that comes to all of that because what happens with how you just said that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking because I am a man, but I got a little more. I've dove a little bit more into the understanding aspect of feelings and knowledge and trying to be a better man.
Mm-hmm.
But thinking like as the typical man, what I would say is you just made an argumentative point, meaning by saying, do you think about, or do they think about how their partner could be feeling and blah 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 and blah blah this, right? Because the typical man come back and be like, well, see, that's exactly what I'm saying. You're not paying me no attention and not hearing what I'm saying, and yada yada yada. And all that boils down to is just simple communication. Because if I'm not feeling like I'm being heard, I think, and I've said this to you before, in one of the disagreements that we've had, that we need. I'll say it this way: if you tell me you're not being heard, and I feel as though that I'm not being heard, but because you brought it up 1st, we need to address that and see what I'm not, or what I'm doing not to make you feel that way, versus me going directly into, well, I feel this way too. Let's get your situation out of the, because you brought it up, let's get your situation out of the way and try to get an understanding on that before we move to my situation.
Right.
So when you said that, that's why I think a lot of men would come back and say, well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. See, you're not hearing what I'm saying and paying my feelings any attention, because you just said that you worried about what if I didn't hear you. And that's what that would lead to. So what happens is that perpetuates a circle that you keep going around and around and around.
Right.
So that's the only thing I have to say as far as your comment, although I personally understand what you're saying. I don't think a lot of people would.
But the alternative too then also is that, again, so I kind of posited two different things. It's like, okay, first you have this reality that, like you said, neither person truly feels like they're not being heard, and maybe one is responding in that way because they haven't felt like they heard, right? They've been hurt, right? So someone had mentioned, they said, well, women sometimes may have a tendency to be less, not even less receptive, but less attentive to someone that they feel is not seeing or hearing them, which makes sense, because if I felt like you were not doing what I expect you to do of a husband, why would I be as attentive to you? I really don't want to hear anything you got to say. Like, I may not be walking around with attitude, but at that point, your worries and stuff are really not my concerns, because I'm so busy trying to take up for the deficit that I feel that is lacking in the relationship, right? And then the other aspect of that is, sometimes I think some people will think that they're not being heard or seen because of their own issues, and it has nothing to do with the other person. Just like, it's no different than when you have kids that have been raised a certain way, and all of a sudden they come up when they get older and say, well, this happened when I was young, this, and you'd be like, when did all this happen? To them, it really happened. That was that's their reality. But to you thinking like, no, that didn't really go down like that. Like, you totally misconstrued that situation. And so some people, not just men, but some people, I think, from past trauma, just from their experience in childhood, maybe because of how they were raised in an environment that was full of conflict, that they feel like the minute someone says something to them, that they're not being heard. Or maybe they were raised in a household where the parent was like, you don't get to explain your situation, your position. So if you were raised in that type of environment, you don't get to explain you don't question me, because I said it's so. Then the minute you try to have a conversation with somebody, if you get any type of feedback from that person that may seem to you to be going along that lines, then you're gonna immediately feel like you're not being heard.
Yeah, I get that.
Because it triggers that. So it's like a combination of things. And so when we think about these relationships and the discord, and especially the communication aspect of it, I think it's really important, like we were talking about earlier, for people to get that mental health counseling so that they can make sure that their mental landscape is formed correctly or has been reshaped in a more positive light before they're entering in some situations. That way they can handle that stuff better. I mean, and to be honest, like, our communication ain't on point, but I think it's better because of counseling too. Also, like, I think counseling is better because
shut up now.
It's better because we worked on it, but it's also better because of counseling.
Well, I agree. And in closing, and I'm going after I say this, I'm gonna tell y'all, speaking of the communication aspect, right? So we had a last little, well, I don't even know, we have a blow up. But what I had said to her was that we need to figure out how to. I'm just gonna show y'all what communication does, and because I guess relayed this to her, it kind of worked, and I was actually super proud of us. So I had a situation where I was a little bit frustrated because of some things that happened, and well, let me say this. What I told her was, when we have to try to figure out how to level one another out, because we both have like on 10 type of personalities, right? Attitudes. So
Which I think has been amplified because of our year. So we've had a kind of a difficult, stressful year too.
yeah, I agree with that.
And so I think that has amplified things. But yeah.
Yeah, but so I was like, so what we need to do to keep us from potentially saying things that we don't mean, potentially hurting one another feelings and stuff like that. If I have an attitude or if I'm off and I come to you in a messed up way, then I don't need you to necessarily take it as personal. But don't come at me because I came at you in an effed up way. Just tell me it made you feel like this and this, that, and the third. And so I can try to rectify it. And it's on me to take that and hear that and understand what's going on and rectify it. And vice versa. If she comes at me in a screwed up way, my job is to reply to her calmly, say, hey, no, you're making me feel this way, or whatever it is. And her job is to bring it down some. So we had that happen. Just was last weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, last weekend, last Saturday. I was in an irritable mood, had nothing to do with her. And I'm trying to be funny and cracking jokes, but because my vibe is off, it came out or it came across as I was trying to say something disrespectful or messed up. And yep, she said it in a little snappy way and a little, attitudinal, but hey, look, you wasn't joking. That's a messed up thing to say, blah, 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 blah. So what I did was reminded myself of and it actually pissed me off when she said that, because I'm like, I'm not mad or whatever. But I reminded myself of the conversation that we had, and it was my idea. And I was like, nope, that's not what I was doing. And I literally was mad for 2 seconds, and I reminded myself of that. So we got in the car, and I told her again, I was like, I apologize. I'm a little bit bothered, but I was just trying to, be funny. That's not what I meant, blah, blah, blah. Tension was about 30 seconds. Got to where we was at, and I apologized again and said, look, I was off. I mean, that's not what I meant, blah, blah, blah. And the shit worked. And that was, I'm actually so proud of us, because we've had situations like that where all of a sudden now we mad for 2 and 3 days because of something like that. But that me being how I was and responding to her, like I did, it's a multitude of things. I had no business responding like I did, but her not coming back like she normally would have and would have had a right to, caused me to step back, calm down, reevaluate the situation, and we smoothed it out in less than 20 minutes. And it wasn't an argument. It wasn't nothing. We were back to laughing.
Right.
Back to laughing. I still was irritable as hell, but it worked. It worked. And that's the, my whole point behind all of that is, us working on our communication, especially like she said, within this last year. That's what we strive for going forward. And this, that, and the third, because I'm gonna say shit to piss her off. She gonna say shit to piss me off. But it's how when she say something to piss me off, how I respond to her, and vice versa. That I think that is gonna help us get through it. Unless it's some real messed up shit, then I'm just gonna throw her in the lake out there.
He can't even pick me up.
She weigh 108 pounds.
Whatever. I can pick you up probably. I'm almost there.
All righty, buddy. We gonna.
I'm almost there. Anyway, we'll see y'all next week.
I don't know about that.
No,
we may not be able to do that.
Why not?
Because we're gonna be leaving.
It's not. Oh my God, y'all! Christmas is almost. Oh my God! I didn't realize this is late.
Yeah.
See, this is what happened. This is what I'm talking about. Like our year has been really kind of weird. No, next week is no. We gotta go pick up we'll know. We'll see. We may can do it from the car or something. It's on the 20th.
Yeah. So
we'll try to see what we can do next week, and if not, we'll do something once we get to Iowa, because we're going back to Iowa for Christmas. And this is gonna be an interesting trip we're having. So anyway, but have a good night, everyone. I have some work I have to go finish doing.
I gotta go clean some buildings.
So have a good night and God bless. Where my kiss at?
I don't want to kiss you.
I don't even think you look at your list. If you looked at your list.
I read the list. I just had